Welcome to Gillette World Sports Special. Each week we satellite to you the headline stories from right across the globe. From China, Europe and the Americas to Africa and Asia. News, nostalgia, sports people, all the breaking stories, all the main events. They're all here on the #1 show, Gillette World Sports Special. Golf heads up our show this week with the Scottish Women's Open, and what a close final it was. The Michigan International Speedway was packed for IndyCar drama, and there was plenty of that.
Whoa! And Lynn St. James and Danny Sullivan are together.
They're really hung together. Those cars are actually stuck together right there. They can't get apart.
The European Pro Ski Tour reached an exciting climax, and our cameras were in Middlesex, England to catch the action. In our World Sport year, we go back to 1960, when Dawn Fraser defended her 100-meter freestyle title in Rome during the 1960 Olympics. Hot on the heels of tennis star Steffi Graf is world number 3, Mary Pierce.
Game, set, match, Pierce.
The Hedonism 2 squash tournament from the Sunshine Island of Jamaica is just one of the items we feature in our regular bulletin of sporting news from around the world. Dalmahoy in Scotland was the venue for the Scottish Women's Open Golf Tournament. We join England's Alison Nicholas, who led into the final round, putting for a birdie at the second hole.
In it went, and Nicholas went to 14 under. But her playing partner, Patricia Mernier, was doing even better. Having birdied the first, she also birdied the second to move into a tie of the lead with Nicholas. The other French challenger, Marie-Laure de Lorenzi, actually dropped a shot at the second, but it seemed to concentrate her mind. 2 birdies immediately followed. De Lorenzi moved to 11 under. But it was the putting stroke of Patricia Mernier that was casting the biggest spell. She gave herself another birdie chance at the third. 3 out of 3 to take the outright lead for the first time since day 2. Up ahead, the world #1, Laura Davis, was finally finding her touch on the greens. Davis went out in 32, and another birdie at the 10th took the defending champion to 10 under. But when the final pair arrived at the 9th, the overnight leader, Alison Nicholas, found herself 4 shots adrift. A remarkable 6 birdies in 7 holes had taken Patricia Mernier to 18 under, so Nicholas badly needed to hole this eagle putt. She got it. Nicholas moved back to 16 under, 2 behind. And crucially, Mernier then made her first putting mistake. She only managed to par the 9th, but still went out in 30. Marie-Laure de Lorenzi's thoughts, it seemed, were turning to making sure of 3rd place, with Laura Davis edging closer. This birdie on 11 helped the French #1's chances. Corinne Dibnah, the experienced Australian, was also entering the equation. Out in 32, this was her second shot to the par 4 16th. It skipped onto the green, only to catch the ridge and roll perfectly back to set up a birdie opportunity. Dibnah would take it and would move to 10 under par. With 5 holes to play, Mernier's lead was down to a single shot. A bogey at 12 dropped her to 17 under, and this sliced approach to the 14th would cost her another shot. Back she went to 16 under, level with Nicholas. And just 3 ahead of Marie-Laure de Lorenzi. Not too many played the short 15th better all week. De Lorenzi knocked in the putt to move to 13 under. The top Scotswoman was also the leading amateur. Janice Moody, playing in her first professional tournament, went out in 33 and held her nerve on the last to finish with a 69, 7 under and 7th place. As for the world #1, Laura Davis's 67 was the best round of the final day. No victory this time, but still a share of 4th place with Corinne Dibnah. The title would go to either Mernier or Nicholas, level at 16 under when they arrived at the par 4 16th, alongside each other in the bunker. Identical shots it seemed, but how differently things worked out. Nicholas's short game has long been rated her biggest strength, and that brilliant shot from the sand would help her save par. Meunier had to follow it with something similar, and she couldn't. Not a bad effort, but Nicholas was now back in the lead on her own at 16 under. Up ahead, Marie-Laure de Lorenzi was finishing the day where she began it, in third place. A par at the last helped her to a final round of 68 and another good finish this season. Now, the packed Dalmahoy galleries at the 18th awaited the leaders, where the mathematics was simple. Meunier needed a birdie to tie. It didn't drop. Out in 30, things had looked so promising, but the inward 9 had been a different story for the talented French player. So Alison Nicholas had 2 putts from around 15 feet for the championship. And she took them both to clinch the Scottish Open title, a cheque for over £11,000, and her first win on the European Tour in 4 years.
Next, we visit Michigan in the United States for the latest round of the IndyCar season, which has proven to be one of the most exciting and fiercely fought seasons yet.
Here we come. Turn number 4, the move again. Front row kind of a line, and again Teo Fabi drops down, but this time it's going to go green. And here we go, 4, 5 wide into the first turn. Parker Johnstone leads them through 1. Teo Fabi runs up high. Michael Andretti drops into 3rd, Villeneuve 4th. Jimmy Vasser is 5th. Oh, car into the wall, that's Carlos Guerrero. So we're yellow. By the way, Eliseo Salazar jumped up 5 positions in the first couple of laps.
And by the way, look at the extent of the damage. This track, when it strikes big.
Boy, take a look at Michael, who is on the fly as he just screams past Teo Fabi and picks up 2nd place. Listen to that engine. So on lap 28, Michael Andretti brings an Alien engine into the pits. The team, most notably in the person of Paul Tracy, has been concerned about their Ford engines thus far. And this may be further evidence of that concern.
Here comes, looks like Johnstone right into the pits right now. So they don't really know what their fuel mileage is, so right now it's going to be interesting.
The leader of the race, Parker Johnstone, he's led the first 45 laps. He relinquishes now, Gary.
Oh, Paulie slides
no.
through. They've blown the stop for the moment. We were afraid of that. From 230 miles an hour down to 90. It's slippery on the concrete. He slid through.
It's obvious that this track imposes. You see the battle for 3rd. Now it's little Al Unser on the right there. He has come up so far from his grid position and now is threatening Paul Tracy. But it's obvious that this track imposes incredible loads on the suspension.
Another thing, when a guy is drafting like little Al, boy, look at him come up.
big time.
Boy, that was a draft.
Really got to run. I was just starting to say, the drafting is free. Boy, you can get a tow better than getting with a tow car helping you out. Just really get a big suction.
So Unser Jr. up to 3rd place. Jack Arute, Penske's looking strong here.
The Patrick team has called in Scott Pruitt as we listen on the scanner as well. Now, watch the crewmen at the front of the car. Once they've completed the exchange, they'll go to the nose, make a turn. They're going to take the wing out. That was the amount of wing that they put in the last stop, and he almost stalls it. Boy, was that close, guys.
Well, that could be costly. They'd have to pull the car back, restart it. Too costly, Jack.
Well, in the last few laps, the gap has been steadily closing between Scott Pruitt and Al Unser Jr., the leader. And now it is a fight for the lead as Scott Pruitt tries to overhaul him on the high side. 171 laps of the 250 are complete. Scott Pruitt has been able to chase down Al Unser Jr. Let's watch.
Remember Pruitt's pursuit of the lead at Indianapolis. And
Boy, look at it here, though. Scott Pruitt tries it low and takes the lead.
Whoa.
Scott Pruitt out in front. Boy, and he really, the draft worked there. Whoa! And Lynn St. James and Danny Sullivan are together.
They're really hung together. Those cars are actually stuck together right there. They can't get apart.
Let's check both drivers. Danny Sullivan not moving in that cockpit. Can't tell about Lynn.
Rear
So the
wing
yellow is out again. That was a pretty hard hit on the right side for both cars. Little Al tries to the outside as the white flag comes out. Side by side through the first turn. Little Al takes the advantage running high and comes into the lead. Less than 2 miles to go now in this 500-mile run, and Al Unser Jr. picks the lead up again. But what about Scott? He's going to chase Al everywhere he can.
He's got the draft now.
Well, Scott Pruitt may have the advantage coming to the final turns. Did he move too quick? Did he move too soon?
He's still
They
got
continue side by side. Al Unser Jr. and Scott Pruitt come to the line, and Pruitt's got him. Scott Pruitt takes the win.
Scott Pruitt scores his first ever Indy win with victory over Al Unser Jr. in one of the toughest finishes ever. 0.56 seconds to be precise. Only one race has ever been closer. Al Unser beating Scott Goodyear by 0.43 seconds for the 1992 Indy 500. We now move on to the newest and liveliest European professional water ski tour and to England for the final. In the women's slalom, it was to be an Anglo-Norwegian battle as Dr. Philippa Roberts, MBE, took on the blonde bombshell Lisa Elgeson from Scandinavia. Philippa set the pace with a clean run on the 13-meter line length. Lisa matched that and reversed the pressure on Philippa by shortening the length to 12 meters for the next run. The run started well, but a mistake on the third turn buoy saw her crash out, and her bid for the European title was over. Philippa, 3 times British champion, completed a clear run to take the women's title. Now to the men's slalom. It was an all-British head-to-head in the final. Jody the Hook Fisher set the pace with a clear run on the 12-meter line length. Sean Bad Boy Bronson matched Fisher's run, but it was clear he was straining every sinew to do so. The pressure was now on Fisher as he went down to the tougher 11.5-meter line length. Bronson knew he was only one good ski away from the title, but his strength finally let him down as he tried to hold on. The European Pro Ski Slalom title then going to Jody Fisher from Britain. On to the men's jump final, and Britain's Danny the Dominator Budd had a tough battle against Denmark's Klaus Casso. Casso had already put in the longest jump of the day to win his semi-final at 54.2 meters, but he couldn't repeat that form in the final, only managing 52.8 meters. Budd's first jump wasn't enough, but on his second attempt, the timing was perfect. He soared to 53.2 meters and the European Pro Ski Jump title. In Sports People this week, we meet the young Canadian tennis star who plays for France and follow the career that has so far taken Mary Pierce to number 3 in the world rankings.
From the moment she received her first tennis racket at the age of 10, Mary Pierce wanted desperately to be famous. Following in the footsteps of players such as Andre Agassi, Jim Courier and Monica Seles, Pierce was enrolled in Nick Bollettieri's Florida-based academy. Possessed with natural talent and ability, she turned professional in 1989 at the age of 14 years and 2 months. Until Jennifer Capriati came along the following year, Pierce was the youngest player to join the professional ranks. Thrust immediately into the public eye, Pierce was expected to achieve the fame she desired. However, for the first 4 years of her career, Mary Pierce's name was associated more with notoriety rather than fame. The notoriety side of her life came in the form of her father, Jim. His influence on her career was to add a new dimension to the role of protective parent. Pierce's professional career got off to a good start when she won a tournament on the USTA satellite circuit in her first year. Then, in a shock move, her father took her away from the Bollettieri Academy and became her coach. 2 years into her career, she won both the singles and doubles at Palermo, her first title taking her into the top 50. By the end of 1992, she broke into the top 20 after winning 3 titles and reaching the round of 16 at both the French and US Opens. While Pierce appeared to be closing in on the fame she desired, it was obvious to those close to the game that her father's disruptive influence was preventing her from fulfilling her potential. Jim Pierce's violent courtside outbursts culminated with him punching a spectator at the 1993 French Open. He was later banned indefinitely from attending any tournaments that Mary played in. Torn between her instinctive love for her father and the need to get some sanity and stability into her career, Pierce resolved to alienate him from her life, a brave decision at the age of 18. Reunited with her coaching guru, Nick Bollettieri, she began to enjoy tennis and climb the rankings ladder.
The champion is dethroned.
The first signs that saw her troubled life was stabilizing appeared at the 1994 French Open. On her way to the final, she swept aside world number 1, Steffi Graf. Her fairy tale run at Roland Garros came to an end when she played nervously against Arantxa Sanchez Vicario, who won 6-4, 6-4. At the 1995 Australian Open, Mary Pierce got her chance to win a Grand Slam and realize her childhood wish of becoming famous. With Steffi Graf out of contention, she was seeded number 4.
Game, set, match, Pierce. 6-3.
Playing with confidence and consistency, she reached the final and set up a return bout with her French Open conqueror. This time, Pierce was equal to the big occasion, despite the odd lapse when challenging a line call. Pierce breezed through the second set, winning 15 of the last 16 points to clinch the title 6-3, 6-2. As a Grand Slam winner, Pierce had realized her dream of becoming famous. Mary Pierce may not yet be the future of women's tennis, but with her past, the fact that she has a future at all is a victory in itself.
Now it's time for our nostalgic look through the record books. 1960 is our world sport year. Dawn Fraser was Australia's golden girl with 27 individual records in her 9-year career.
She was the first competitor, man or woman, to win the same title at 3 successive Olympic Games. The 100 meters freestyle in 1956, 1960 and 1964. She was the first woman to swim the distance in under 1 minute and the only woman to break her own world records 9 times.
News Now, the headline stories from around the world. Jamaica was the sunshine venue for the Hedonism 2 squash tournament, which attracted top-class international players from all over the world.
Australian Anthony Hill, world ranked number 9, was up against England's Paul Johnson in the first semi-final. Hill, the victim of an astonishing headbutting incident in the British Open last year, was involved in a bad-tempered game and was surprisingly beaten by Johnson. The second semi-final was between England's Simon Park, already a winner of the French International this year, and another England-based player, Angus Kirkland, born in Singapore. Park, a former world junior champion, currently ranked 7th in the world, had little difficulty in disposing of Kirkland's challenge, winning by 3 games to love. Humid outside, hot on court 2 for the final. Park and Johnson involved in a lengthy 5-set battle. Park took the first 15-11. Johnson the second 15-8. Park back in control, winning the third 17-15. Johnson level again 15-6. So it was all down to the 5th, and Park shaded it 15-13.
Bringing squash to new countries is always a good thing. Trying to spread it around the world as much as possible.
Michael Schumacher may be in the fast lane to retain the World Formula One title, but in his hometown of Kerpen near Cologne, he experienced the most important day of his life when he married his longtime girlfriend, Corinna Betsch. The venue for the wedding was changed at the last moment when the German press published details of the arrangements. Security was low-key, though the press managed to get nearer to Schumi than his rivals in the German Grand Prix. And his drive-off was certainly not at Formula One speed. Former heavyweight boxing champion Mike Tyson unveiled his new physique to the world in Las Vegas. Tyson was light on his feet during the workout and looked awesome on the punch bag. After demolishing several sparring partners who had their insurance covered by the Tyson camp, we can only hope Peter McNeely, who he meets on the 19th of August, has his own medical insurance in order. Finally, 20 countries were at the Cavalry School in Saumur, France for the European Acrobatic Riding Championships, but it was Germany who scooped all the top honors. The German girls performed this winning routine to take the top prize in the team event. Their balance and coordination beat the Swiss into second place and the Swedish team into third. In the women's competition, Germany's Tania Benedetto impressed the judges with this routine to take first place. Coming up next week, the Hungarian Grand Prix. Can Damon Hill close the gap on leader Michael Schumacher? And tennis, the Infinity Open from Los Angeles. So join us then for the show that puts a premium on action. The champions, the challengers, the Super Bowl, the sideshows. You'll find them all here on Gillette World Sports Special.